with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the five-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Iddo Elam, Jewish-Israeli conscientious objector who is imprisoned this year for refusing to serve in the IDF. Meanwhile, Trump's import taxes are now the highest since 1930, and his so-called trade deals are all vaporware. There doesn't seem to be anything.
Don't tell him that.
Well, I'm still imposing taxes on everybody, so. Meanwhile, those very same import taxes or tariffs are to raise the cost of generic medicines and more. Meanwhile, Dick Durbin demands recordings of the Maxwell DOJ meetings as Trump refuses to rule out a pardon. And as Benjamin Netanyahu floats annexation plan to his government, Palestinians starve, and 32%, according to Gallup, of Americans, only 32% of Americans support Israel's assault on Gaza. Only 8% of Dems support this humanitarian crime against humanity.
Tell that to elected Democrats.
Now, they're starting to hear, I think, very, very, very slowly.
Yeah, way too late.
Meanwhile, Christian Smalls was beaten and detained along with 20 activists aboard a Freedom Flotilla boat that was attempting to break through the Israeli blockade of Gaza. In New York City, 4 dead in a shooting. The gunman from Nevada came from Nevada with weapons. This as Trump slashed federal funding for gun violence prevention. And now there's a third whistleblower who has emerged claiming that Email Bovey lied to the Senate about his desire to ignore the courts. Trump regime now says that federal workers can be subject to religious proselytization by their managers at work. And Trump's free plane from Qatar, turns out it's going to cost taxpayers almost $1 billion to retrofit, and then he gets to keep it when he leaves office. Judge temporarily halts Trump's Medicaid cuts to Planned Parenthood. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us. It is Tuesday.
Newsday Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah, you could do it either way. We decided that, right? It's Brian's fault because he screwed me up.
How did Brian?
Sorry, boss.
He did. He really did. It was his fault, right?
Oh.
Yes,
typical.
It's 100% my fault. Yes.
Typical. Passing off blame.
Well, as you'll see later, people who are educated in the state of Georgia have a tough time with details.
In terms of my neurological capacity.
Thanks for joining us. Obviously, a lot in the news. We're just getting sort of like a look now at the supposed trade deal that Donald Trump forged with the EU. And I should just tell you, there's a couple of things. Like, I mean, you don't have to really go into it too deeply, other than to say that, I'll just read a couple of the headlines from this. Drug prices likely to rise with tariffs on EU. EU admits it can't guarantee the $600 billion promise to Trump. In fact, the $600 billion they're supposed to invest in the United States, they're anticipating being able to do about 2% of that. EU's pledge for $250 billion of U.S. energy imports is delusional. These are just the headlines. I mean, the bottom line is none of this stuff is real. All he is basically said, well, I'm going to do 50% or 30% tariffs on August 1st. And now all it is he's going to do 15% tariffs. And for those who say, okay, well, this is going to raise money for the United States, understand this is a tax and it's a regressive tax. I am all in favor of raising taxes, but we should be doing this on wealthy people, not working class, not middle class, not low income people. And that's who it hits the most. And if you want proof that it's a tax on Americans, that it's not going to be absorbed by some, mystery third party, Senator Josh Hawley introduces a bill to send tariff rebate checks to Americans.
I'm sure that'll work out just as well as his efforts to get the Trump administration not to gut Medicaid.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And he's supposedly putting a bill in to provide funds for Medicaid. That's not going to happen.
Sure.
And this bill won't go anywhere either. But the bottom line is, it is a explicit admission that we need a rebate. In other words, the money is coming from American taxpayers. That's the way you rebate them. You don't get a rebate for something you haven't paid for. That just ends up being some type of stimulus check, but it's a rebate check because U.S. citizens are going to be paying for it. And to be clear, not only are we going to have inflation from these import taxes, but if you were to actually rebate the money, what's happening is the prices go up and then you're having the exact same amount of demand you would have. And so it's just basically, you're just subsidizing now inflation. It's just insane. But that's where we're at this point. And, I would imagine in 2 to 6 months, we're going to start to feel the inflation from these tariffs. Although, Taco Tuesday, who knows what Trump is going to do tomorrow. With that said, the one thing that we do know the Trump administration is doing, it is criminalizing and really, I don't know how to say this, undocumenting, unlegalizing literally hundreds of thousands of legal immigrants, people who have been on temporary protected status. There are stories all over here about what happens when literally hundreds of thousands of Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Venezuelans, I think we've seen it with some Ukrainians and Afghanis. They are on various programs. They are legal immigrants. They are documented immigrants, and they're basically being undocumented by the administration. And it is causing economic stress because these people have all been working, in some instances, 5, 10, 15, 20 years in factories, in bakeries, wherever it is. And now all of a sudden they're gone. But the folks at Fox and Friends have a new idea on how to deal with this.
Paying people not to work. And when you stop paying people not to work, they have to go out and get jobs. And the first jobs they go out and get are these wonderful, rewarding jobs like picking blueberries. I grew up pulling tobacco. There are wonderful jobs in farming, in construction, all of this that has sort of been handed over to largely illegal aliens allowed into the country to do all this cheap labor. Maybe you pay a little bit more for blueberries to actually have Americans picking the blueberries, but that's wonderful. Also, allow children to do it as summer jobs. The idea that your government, that your precious government, doesn't allow children to work summer jobs in blueberry fields is just mind-blowing to me.
Well, it's very difficult work, by the way, and it's fine. I'm totally down with everything that you're saying, but the point is,
I'm not a libertarian.
For Americans to want to do these jobs, if it costs more, I'm okay with subsidizing that labor, because then I think we get more fruits and vegetables.
You should reward good things and punish bad things. Do you agree?
Okay, this is just unbelievable. First off, is it that these immigrants are keeping Americans from getting jobs, or is it that immigrants are keeping children from getting jobs?
Wonderful jobs.
Wonderful
like
jobs.
Throwing hot rivets on a skyscraper.
Incidentally, the amount of times that you could go out and pick blueberries, it is both a regional thing. I don't know. It's mostly you need to have more colder climates, I think, for blueberries. It's maybe I want to say 4-week season, 5-week season. I mean, the size of these the farms that you would need to have blueberry picking happening every day. So the kids just come out like once or twice a week. Like, this is absurd.
Yeah.
This is absurd.
We've heard this argument a few times, right? When they're in the context of rolling back certain child labor protections, like paperwork requirements. We covered this 2 or 3 years ago when Sarah Huckabee Sanders, as governor in Arkansas, rolled back paperwork requirements for employers when they had child laborers. And why is that? It's because they don't want documentation of the fact that they are employing undocumented children. And then we hear reports of children working at 7 a.m. at some meat processing plant and dying because they get stuck into them in machinery. That also happened within the past few years. And those are undocumented kids. Those are the people that are working those jobs.
I got news for Charlie Hurd, too. Kids can go work picking blueberries. I mean, like, if you're a kid and you want to go pick blueberries, and there's a place for you to go pick blueberries after school or over the course of the summer, kids can get summer jobs.
They can.
Now, maybe he's talking like 6-year-olds or 8-year-olds, like very young children. But if you're over the age of 14, I think it is, in most states, in some places it's 13, you can go get a summer job picking blueberries. The idea, and first of all, I also don't believe he grew up shucking tobacco, whatever it is he claims to do. The guy's dad was a Reader's Digest editor. Maybe his grandpa had a farm and he got to go out there and occasionally pulled tobacco, but I don't get the feeling that this guy's hands were all calloused, for those 2 months.
And aren't they talking about via Trump's executive order, basically throwing unhoused people into prison labor camps to do this kind of work? But it doesn't necessarily fit this like 1950s trad wife and young blonde children with blue-eyed picking blueberries in a field aesthetic that Fox News is trying to propagate here. We have very low levels of unemployment right now, but that's in part because we have deep problems with underemployment and folks who are working multiple jobs but aren't able to actually sustain a living for themselves. So the jobs that he's talking about, this mythical thing that this would just be taken by kids on summer break. I mean, it's silly. It's silly. It's what like a very wealthy person imagines like labor actually looks like in this country.
And I also do appreciate that they are recognizing it's going to be inflationary.
Subsidize.
This is also going to be inflationary. Now, Guardian has a report that they've got stories in Michigan, Kentucky about the impact of a lot of the rescissions on temporary protected status and parolees. At a GE appliance plant in Louisville, Kentucky, more than 125 workers were abruptly forced out of their jobs in the spring due to programs canceled as part of Trump's immigration crackdown. This, according to an employee. GE Appliances makes home appliances, including refrigerators, microwave, dishwashers, in 3 different buildings on a couple of different shifts. Stewards reported they lost production, so they weren't able to make all the products they were supposed to make. That, of course, ripples through the economy. At a Kraft Heinz plant in Holland, Michigan, workers are said to have been mandated to work overtime. The firm is one of the largest food beverage companies in the world, behind brands Philadelphia cream cheese and Jell-O desserts. We've had people there for 20 years, and all of a sudden they get notification their immigration authorization is revoked. This is a maintenance mechanic of 13 years, president of the RWDSU local. And they can't be there anymore. That just puts a strain on everybody. The lack of people on the lines, their employees running 2 machines. Should be 1 person per machine. Managers and supervisors are all stressed out, canceling vacations for people because they don't have enough people to run the machines. Torres has been working 12 to 14-hour days, he said. Part of a first shift, all of a second shift, and part of a third shift. I'm tired, and you catch people falling asleep on the line, and it's a big safety issue. The Economic Policy Institute estimated this month 4 million deportations would result in the loss of 3.3 million jobs held by immigrants in the U.S. and 2.6 million U.S.-born employees. Because if you don't have enough people to run a factory, you shut the factory down. American Enterprise Institute, conservative think tank, said immigration policies will lead to a negative net migration to the U.S. and as a result in a decrease in the U.S. gross domestic product between 0.3 and 0.4%. So this is going to be bad for the economy. It's going to be bad, and there's not going to be this sort of sudden wave of where we get down to zero employment. That we need to rely on kids to pick blueberries.
You'll support a family on your blueberry picking job.
And we also have, as you started the show with, the looming tariffs and the impact that they're going to have, which functions basically as a compounding sales tax, these 15% kind of baseline tariffs. So prices are going to continue to go up. I at least admire Donald Trump's consistency of trying to speed run us into a second Great Depression. Rolling back of child labor laws in the conservative movement and then bringing back insane tariff policies. Looks like it really is making us 28, 1930 again. We'll close to that.
We'll see. In a moment, we're going to be talking to Iddo Elam. He is a Jewish Israeli conscientious objector who was imprisoned this year for refusing military service. A couple of words from our sponsors. Going online without ExpressVPN is like leaving your laptop unattended at the coffee shop while you run to the bathroom. Most of the time, you're probably fine. But what if one day you come out of the bathroom, your laptop is gone? Well, your data is valuable. Hackers can make serious money selling personal info on the dark web. And it doesn't take much technical knowledge to hack someone. A smart 12-year-old could do it. So what can you do to protect yourself? Well, my 12-year-old is always reminding me, do you have your VPN on? And I say, yes, I do. ExpressVPN stops hackers from stealing your data by creating a secure, encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet. Visit expressvpn.com/majority. You can get up to 4 extra months free. Every time you connect to an encrypted network, doesn't matter where you are, a mall, a movie theater, a hotel, an airport, I don't know, a coffee shop, your online data is not secure. Any hacker on the same network can gain access and steal your personal data. That means passwords, bank logins, credit card details, I don't know, pictures. ExpressVPN is easy to use. All you got to do, you fire up the app, 1 click, and you get protected. It works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, more. You can stay private on the go. ExpressVPN is super secure. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. And 1 billion years is a long, long time. If you should not be waiting that long in the airport or in the mall for that matter. Super easy to use. I mean, that's the thing for me. I was intimidated by this because I'm old, and all you got to do, click one button, you are protected. Super easy. Like I say, you can use it on your iPad. You can use it on your phone, any of your tablets, smart TVs, anywhere. Secure your online data today by visiting expressvpn.com/majority. That's expressvpn.com/majority. Find out how you can get 4 extra months free. expressvpn.com/majority. We'll put the link in the podcast and YouTube description. Also, folks, my faves over at sunsetlakesabade.com have a new product for you to try. It is fantastic. It's August, but still hot. You need some refreshment? How about some brand new lifted teas from sunsetlakesabade.com? These are not your average iced teas. Each can is infused with 5 milligrams of THC. We used to call that tea, actually, back in the day sometimes. And 25 milligrams of Sabade. And because these cannabinoids are nano-emulsified, you will feel the effects in about 20 minutes. So unlike other edibles where you're like, am I going to wait around for an hour and a half? No, you'll feel it quick. It comes in 2 flavors, original and mint green. The original is just like a classic black iced tea with a hint of lemon. The mint green is made with a refreshing blend of green tea, a pinch of black tea, and refreshing mint. Both are naturally sweetened with honey from Vermont apiaries. And I'll tell you, there's also some very good data on the value of green tea and black tea. But put that aside. It's the 5 milligrams of THC and 25 milligrams of Sabade. And I'll tell you, that is plenty for a guy like me to have an evening, frankly. This is a great way if you're trying to avoid alcohol for whatever reason. Fantastic replacement. Brian tried a little bit of that original before the show, but not
tried them both much. Actually.
Not too much.
No, I'm medium lifted.
Right now, you can't even have the Focus gummies. Right now, you could try these new lifted teas for 25% off when you use the coupon code DRINKUP. That's one word, DRINKUP. All one word, no spaces. The deal ends August 3rd, so don't wait, folks. Head to sunsetlakesabade.com to see additional terms and conditions. Check this stuff out. You're really going to enjoy it. Obviously, Sunset Lake Sabade, one of our favorite sponsors, great company, movement partners. They donated thousands upon thousands. They have great business practices and farming practices and great products, all third-party tested. That's Drink Up, one word. All right, check our YouTube and podcast descriptions. Quick break. When we come back, Iddo Elam, Jewish Israeli conscientious objector, who was imprisoned this year for refusing to serve with the IDF. We are back. Sam Seder, the Majority Report, along with Emma Vigeland. It's a pleasure to welcome to the program Iddo Elam. He's a Jewish Israeli conscientious objector who was imprisoned this year for refusing military service. And Iddo, my understanding is you also just ended a hunger strike literally hours ago. So, I just want folks to know that, because I imagine you're feeling not at 100%. But why don't you start by telling us what that hunger strike was about?
Sure. Then this hunger strike was started on Sunday by the High Follow-up Committee for Arab Citizens of Israel. It's basically a committee that under it there's all the Arab parties and all the Arab local leadership, and they are trying to work together to have a better future for Palestinian citizens of Israel, because they are second class here. In an unprecedented move, they actually decided to do the hunger strike in Jaffa, just southern of Tel Aviv, and invite Jews to join them, so we can do this whole thing together. And what we saw is tens of people, dozens of people, Jews and Palestinians, together for 3 days in Jaffa, hunger striking, talking with each other, and also now reading the new genocide report by Physicians for Human Rights. And it just ended today, a few hours ago, with a protest in front of the American embassy that I did not join, because I'm joining you now.
We appreciate that very much. Tell us a little bit. Let's start with this. Like, I don't know if folks in this country appreciate how deeply ingrained joining the military in Israel is. I mean, this is something that as a small child, you are already sort of, on some level, there's like this sort of anticipation of joining the military. Walk us through that a little bit. So I want people to understand the, what you've done and continue to do, and aside from just going to prison, is very rare in Israeli society, and frankly takes a lot of courage. But walk us through what that sort of like how ingrained being a member of the military is in Israeli culture.
Sure. Then I would start by saying that I come from what we call a leftist family. So for me, at home, at least, it wasn't so ingrained. But talking, for example, about the education system, from kindergarten till 12th grade, you have soldiers visiting you in class, talking about helping you with tests to do different units in the army. You have always you have a soldier, at least one, in your school. Since the 7th of October, obviously, it's even worse. Every year you have Remembrance Day for the dead soldiers from your school, which you are obligated to come to. You have to stand for 2 minutes in remembrance. You have to stand for the national anthem. They bring soldiers that were in your school to talk with you and to grieve with you, which for me seemed very usual as a child. My older brother also went to the army. I mean, he was kind of in a less liberal environment and a less leftist environment. So he kind of just went with all of his friends. That for me, I mean, it means that I come home for a person with uniform and a gun, which for me at the age of 15 should tell me that I should do the same. Also everywhere, I mean, in your bus, on the street, in your coffee shop, you see guns, uniforms. It's very much normalized. Once again, since the 7th of October, it's even worse, because now the Interior Minister of Ben Gvir gave a ton of pistols to random civilians. But it's basically not going to the army here is basically doing the worst sin out of all of them. every conversation with somebody that I tell them that I'm 18, they ask what I do in the army. Every conversation with any job interview that I ever had asked, oh, are you going to the army? What are you going to do in the army? It's basically the like normal conversation for anybody around the age of the army. And once again, a lot of my friends, childhood friends, went to the IDF because that's what is expected of them.
Two follow-up questions to that are somewhat related. Your Arab Israeli classmates, or Palestinian Israeli classmates, I should say, the minority in Israel proper, is it the same in terms of their treatment with pushing them into IDF service, or how is that approached with the minority of those classmates? And two, how have your classmates or fellow teenagers on a whole responded to you and your other comrades taking this action of civil disobedience and going to jail because you refused to serve?
So I would start by saying that in my grade at my school, there were 0 Palestinians. I mean, Israel is a very segregated country. I would say that like from both sides, even though I live in Tel Aviv, I went to a school in central Tel Aviv. I did not know of any Palestinian students. Palestinians are not obligated to go to the army. That was decided a very, very long time ago. Now, all the time, there's like campaigns from the right to basically say who doesn't serve, doesn't vote. That comes both from the opposition parties on the right and the coalition of Benjamin Netanyahu. So they are not obligated to serve, but they are pushed to be more patriotic and do national service, which is a year or a few years volunteering some way to help the country, basically. And there's a lot of money being dropped on like campaigns for the Arab Palestinians in Israel to do national service, which we object to, of course. My classmates, which, like I said, all of them are Jewish, luckily very much supported me, most of them, my close friends at least. I went to an art school, I learned jazz and philosophy. I mean, it's not the normal Israeli experience. I know many refuseniks that lost contact with people, even family. And I would say that even for me, I mean, some people that I was affiliated with have stopped talking to me because they do not agree with this decision. In my opinion, if they do not agree with me doing whatever I want, then they shouldn't be affiliated with me. But most of my classmates and most of my close family did support me, and my parents and my brother also. But some more distant family and more distant friends have stopped talking to me, at least on this issue, because it's so anti-mainstream here.
How long did you? How long were you imprisoned for? And just walk us up to how you went about filing for the conscientious objector status or refuse. I don't know what the technical term is there.
So I was in prison for a bit over a month, and then I had 2 more months in which I was released, but I was in a process of litigation with the army, basically trying to convince them that I should be released and that I'm too much of a burden for them. So overall, like even after prison, I had to come a dozen times to the enlistment base, get yelled at, sleep there, stay there full days, almost go back to them to prison because they wanted to threaten me, basically. But in general, in the actual military prison, I was only a month. That is different for every other refusenik. I mean, I did not apply for a conscientious objector, like, release, because in Israel, it's kind of like BS. I don't know if I can curse on this show. But basically just international law forces the Israeli army to have some kind of like conscientious board that deems people like pacifists, but you have to prove that you are not political and you're pacifist in general. Basically, you're not against the genocide of the Palestinian people. You are against any and all violence and cannot take it on yourself, even though you don't care about the Palestinian people. And who decides that is like 5 military officers that obviously catch you lying very easily if you try to. So I would say that like going to that board and having a military combat profile, as we call it, is very hard. In the end, I was released after like months of giving them lawyer letters, letters from friends and family, psychiatrists, and in general, they just did not want to accept it until after a few tries in which they told me every time, no, you should enlist. They decided that I'm too much of a burden. I mean, the psychiatrist I met in the army literally told me, you shouldn't be released. People in the army are in your conditions also, but I don't have time for you and I don't care for you, so just go before I decide otherwise. That's basically exactly what he told me.
So the psychiatrist was basically arguing the army is full of people who feel that what's going on is genocide, but we don't have the resources to deal with you making us think about it.
He was basically saying the army is full of people who are mentally not okay with serving or not okay with committing these crimes. But me personally, because I was such like politically active, he just told me like, go to hell, basically.
How much of your decision to fight service in the IDF was a function specifically of what's going on? Since, I mean, you know, and I imagine that's hard to disaggregate, but how deep are your ideological, like where, like, is it a function? How much of it is a contextual question for you? How much of it is a broader question of Palestinians, of the Zionism and the entire project? Walk us through that.
Sure. So I would start by saying that I decided to refuse before October the 7th. I have been active both in the Mesarvot network for conscientious objectors and the Hadash party, which you talked with Ofer Kassif from in the past, and its youth, which is the Young Communist League. So I was active in all of these spaces since the age of 14. Back then I started being like political because Netanyahu had corruption cases that were brewing up, and there was a big protests and demonstrations against it. And I met some anti-occupation folks there, and then I decided to join these circles. I would say that, like, for me, only at the age of 16, I actually finally decided to refuse and not just not go to the army, because there's many ways to lie your way out of the army or basically get an exemption somehow. At the age of 16, I went to this thing called the first draft or first call. It's a day of tests and like psychiatric evaluations and like medical tests at the army enlistment base that is forced on you at the age of 16. Its purpose is to decide which units fit for you, if you're smart in computers, if whatever not. They also give you a personal interview where this soldier basically asks, oh, what do you want to do in the army? I told her I don't want to do army because I have already decided that. And then she kind of was very much confused and started asking, well, what if we force you to go to the army? And what if we put you in prison? And I basically just told her I would still not go to the army, because even at the age of 16, even 2 years into activism, I have already met Palestinians from the West Bank living under occupation. I met Palestinian citizens of Israel living as second-class citizens, even though they have the same ideas and ideology that I have. They come from the same backgrounds sometimes. I basically decided that the problem is very much rooted in all of society, in the occupation, and not just in something specific that I don't want to do. It's not that I don't want to be a soldier in the West Bank, as some people say. I don't want to be a part of the system at all. So ever since the age of 16 to 18, I was kind of just waiting for the date to come, kind of just expecting sometimes in the future to go to prison and to have refused. 7th of October obviously was a big turning point, I would say, because it was very difficult to know like how refusing will be after the 7th of October, because the conditions harshened and they wanted to punish refuseniks, and also all of society kind of turned really fascistic and really militaristic. So like, what's the purpose of refusing? We kind of, for me, a big reason of refusing is talking with young people, talking with before army age people, and trying to convince them there's other routes, because the media here doesn't show that. And also like, yeah, you just do not hear of that. So if I couldn't do that, then I would have to rethink refusing.
Well, can you you mentioned the media, and I'm just so amazed that at such a young age you came to so much of this on your own, despite so much repression of information from within Israel that we see from the outside. You see these protests in Tel Aviv even prior to October 7th against Netanyahu's corruption. You see them now about bringing the hostages home, but now increasingly about focusing on the genocide of the Palestinians. But then you see poll numbers, like say that come out of the University of Jerusalem, and you see like overwhelming support for Trump's ethnic cleansing plan of Gaza. And it seems to me that there's a pretty substantial divide between, say, Israelis in Tel Aviv or in cities versus the rest of the country, which is still incredibly radicalized. Although, I mean, give me your perspective. What is the environment like there still, almost 2 years into the genocide?
I would say that, like, analyzing the Israeli society is extremely difficult and confusing, because on the one hand, I think you have a majority of Jews that want to replace Netanyahu, but almost like none of them want to replace Netanyahu because he's a war criminal and a genocidal dictator, basically. Most people just see his corruption cases, see the judicial reform that he was trying to pass. So it's very difficult. Like, on the one hand, you go out protesting against the occupation, against genocide, in an anti-war protest in Tel Aviv, but then the anti-war people attack you and yell at you and tell you to get the hell out of the protest because they do not agree with being against the occupation. So both the opposition and the coalition in Israel is basically the same, like talking about genocide and the occupation. I mean, Netanyahu's replacements do not want to do anything about it. We work, I think, in this like space of people that we're trying to speak with people that even though they might still believe in the Israeli dream and still believe that the army is moral and still believe that, maybe we should give Palestinians independence, but not now, all of these wars that we hear, maybe they will agree with us at least that managing what we call in Israel, managing the conflict, or basically just trying to like backlog a Palestinian state, even though technically we are for it, doesn't work. And that was proven, I think, on the 7th of October, because you cannot keep people under occupation and apartheid and just expect them to stay silent and take it like it is. So I think there's a growing movement in Israel to be against this war and against the horrible suffering that we are seeing in Gaza. but it's still in the process of growing. We still see very much the indoctrination from a young age at people, because when you don't grow in a family like I did, I mean, it's very hard to say, oh, I just don't believe anything that my parents tell me and my school tells me anymore. And talking about media, for example, I mean, the media does not talk about Gaza. Only now, like 2 journalists that I saw in mainstream media started saying the word starvation. They are still not saying that we should stop completely, everything, just saying that the starvation is not okay. And there's a big consensus that we should make a deal with Hamas and release the hostages, and then continue fighting, and then just completely ruin the whole deal and just continue bombing. Obviously, that won't work. And the only people that you see here now talking about the genocide is Haaretz newspaper and 972 magazine, which are doing really amazing work.
Yeah.
So if I hear you correctly, there is an increasing sort of anti-war sentiment, but that the notion of Palestinian rights, whether that comes in the form of ending, from the outsider's perspective, you're living in a one state already. It's just one where there is apartheid and varying degrees of apartheid, frankly, and varying degrees of violence associated with that apartheid. So if I hear you correctly, the idea of addressing those fundamental issues still remains more or less at, flatlined in terms of people's understanding. It's really more, to the extent that there's any movement, it is more about ending the immediate suffering of Palestinians or just the conflict more broadly. What about the West Bank? What is the? We've spoken a couple of times with Jasper Nathaniel, who's been over there reporting. I think he's going to go back soon. And he told me that he was surprised at how little physical distance there was between Tel Aviv and the West Bank. But in terms of knowledge, in terms of awareness, he was shocked. The lack of awareness as to what was going on in the West Bank, seemingly. Is that your experience? That your friends or your extended friends or your contemporaries have no idea what's going on, just literally miles away?
I would say that, about the knowledge and distance thing, Gaza is 1 hour away from Tel Aviv.
Right.
I was just there in Jaffa. A lot of the people in Gaza are the refugees from Jaffa, and it takes very little time to reach from Jaffa to Gaza. Then about knowledge, you do see 2 years into this genocide, the violence in the West Bank is ramping up. Just yesterday, Ode Hatlin was just murdered in broad daylight with a video of his murder and the face of his murderer. And today his murderer was released on house arrest. The reality is insane. Settlers are basically just doing whatever they want, being basically the SA of the army. And I do see more Israelis that do not come from very right-wing places, but never actually know anything about the occupation, starting to realize that the settler issue is their issue also, because they do not want this third temple idea that we need to exterminate the Palestinians and build a religious state. And I think many people are starting to realize that the violence is daily, the violence is supported by the state and the army, and they are against it. But still, it's very small amounts of people. I mean, once again, I mean, the mainstream media here is basically doing its job as propagandists and just not showing us anything. If they show us anything, then it's deemed like, oh yeah, this settler killed this Palestinian and we still don't know why, and we still are investigating it, and then they never actually say why or talk with the Palestinians that were in this story. But it's our job. I mean, that's basically everything that we are trying to do. I mean, I cannot stop the occupation, but I can convince people around me and people in my city and people in the streets that the occupation is bad, and I can try and like talk with people. The West Bank, I mean, is basically just a part of Israel. I mean, I can go freely into the West Bank, out of the West Bank with no searches or anything, while Palestinians are stuck in this basically like this ghetto that is getting tinier and tinier every time that a village has to evacuate from settler violence. Many of our friends are going to do protective presence in the West Bank and try to support families. Just in a week or so, we are also having like a fundraising event in Israel for families because the state there is very much like dire, and I would say that the army is not only not doing its job by the book, because the book tells them to deal with the settlers also, but they are just settlers at this point. Like all of the units in the West Bank are just filled with the settlers themselves, and you cannot say who is a soldier and who is a settler. We're trying to make more people know about it, and once again, some brave journalists are on the ground filming it and posting it, and it helps a lot. But in the end of the day, I mean, a Palestinian filming itself, like Bassel Adra or Ode that was killed, can just be killed broad daylight and nothing will happen. So I would say that being a Palestinian journalist now, which is one of the most important jobs on earth, is just a death wish under the occupation, because they're trying to eradicate everybody that is reporting from there.
And just so if people don't know the name that is being said there, that is one of the folks that worked on the Oscar-winning film No Other Land. And if people want, they can look up the footage of the Israeli settler whose face is completely, you can see who this person is clearly with one of those pistols. It looks like that you're describing, Iddo, that is being basically handed out by the Israeli government to some of these settlers.
Yes.
What is your impression of how Israelis are responding to the kind of growing global outrage? It's not reflected right now by our government and their actions, but a poll just came out this morning from Gallup, which is, probably our most reputable poll, showing that only 8% of Democrats approve right now of Israel's military action in Gaza. And I had seen a poll maybe like a month or two ago that showed that half of Israelis think Fox News is biased in favor of the Palestinians, and something close to 70% of them think that BBC and CNN in the United States are biased in favor of the Palestinians. Are those numbers accurate in terms of reflecting that warped perspective? Because we also have this story that BBC was censoring in part a story that was critical of Israel just 2 weeks ago.
I would start by saying 100% of Israelis that know of the Majority Report probably deem you as anti-Semites who hate Israel in all of their, just by your pure anti-Semitic hearts.
I like to think it's 99.9%.
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I sent this live to a few friends, and they did join us.
All right, I'm glad to hear that.
But about Fox News and the BBC, once again, that's the job of our media and our news here, because my reels on Instagram, for example, are filled with videos that, Channel 12 and 11 and 13, which are the biggest channels here, post of, this Israeli was attacked in Europe just because he was a Jew, and this Israeli was attacked. And BBC said the word starvation, or this guy on BBC said the word genocide, so they have to be anti-Semitic and against us. And that's most people get that news. Nobody actually watches here CNN or something. So even though all of these companies are obviously pro-Israel and very much leaning towards Israel, that doesn't matter if you catch them in one bad reputation story about Zionism or Israel or the Jewish people or whatever you want to call it. But now you're seeing a lot of Israelis spewing random conspiracy theories that it's basically the reverse of the Nazi conspiracy theories that all the Jews control the media. So Israelis, a lot of them think that the Palestinian lobby and the Democrats and all the anti-Semites control journalists. I would say that international pressure helps a lot. In the end of the day, now with Macron deciding to recognize Palestine, maybe Sturmer, even though he's kind of, all over the place. In the end of the day, when all countries besides the US will recognize Palestine, a lot of Israelis will see that it's not anti-Semitism. It's basically all the world agrees that Netanyahu and the Israeli government is just doing horrible crimes that cannot be supported anymore. It's kind of weird to try and get support from these Western imperialist nations that do not align with my politics at all, but it helps a ton. I mean, to the American audience watching, I would just say Trump is the only guy that can change Bibi's course. If Trump tells Bibi enough times that he needs to stop this, I do think that something will change, because Macron and Keir Starmer and everybody else in Europe is just anti-Semitic in the eyes of the Israeli state. So yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, but at the same time, like I said, I mean, we are doing some work in trying to raise the voice of the Palestinian people in Gaza and the West Bank, standing every week with pictures of dead Palestinian children from Gaza in the street, silently in a vigil. We are getting more and more nods of appreciation and hellos and people joining us. Something that started a few dozen people is now hundreds of people standing with those pictures. You see now Israeli NGOs saying it's a genocide for the first time. Even if all of those NGOs already agreed on it, at least they released a thorough report on it that Israelis can read in their language. It's at a certain point, they cannot call all Jewish people in the US and all leftist Jews in Israel anti-Semitic because they do not want to be a part of it. And we do see also the refusement network grow. I mean, like 2 days from now, 2 more people will enter jail, enter prison. In August, another refusenik is going to enter prison. This is already, I would say, closing in on 20 people since 7th of October, which is not a lot, but it's more than usual, I would say. At the same time, you see a lot of reservists now saying, we went to Gaza, we did horrible crimes, we cannot bear with it. A lot of them are killing themselves because the state does not help them. And that really, I think, will be a major part of the thing that shapes Israelis' minds, because when their children will kill themselves because they killed Palestinian children in Gaza and saw dead bodies littered in the street and saw dismembered babies, that would change the mind of the Israeli people, because a person cannot bear when a personal loved one is saying, I cannot do this, and this is not okay.
Yeah, and I just really quickly one follow up on that point. In terms of the oh shoot, I'm totally blanked on it. I'm sorry. We could just wrap up there. I had something I wanted to ask you, but then I totally forgot. Apologies. All right, Sam, you can wrap up then.
Well, Iddo, I mean, I just got to tell you, it's you know, it's impressive to talk to you. You really put your body literally on the line here in this, both just coming off of a hunger strike, but also putting yourself in prison and whatnot. And really appreciate the work you're doing. If there, I mean, you sort of alluded to it, but if there's like specific things that you feel folks in this country can do to help influence, you know, from here, it's very difficult to see how we can influence things. Donald Trump is also, we may be considered, you know, may be considered anti-Semitic or a self-hating Jew by 99.9% of the people watching in Israel. With Trump fans, I'm also not terribly popular. But what, from your perspective, like what can we do that is helpful in the way that you're trying to affect change there?
So two things I would say. First of all, like I said, pressure your officials and representatives to stay away from supporting and giving aid to our government. I mean, our government can only do what it does because it gets this aid. It's a bit shameful to see some of your more leftist representatives still hold, for some reason, the idea that it's defensive aid. That helps a lot, pressuring people to not accept money from the Israeli lobby, pressuring people to say that they recognize Palestine, say that they recognize it's a genocide or at least a starvation or a massacre. Being against it really helps. The people in the US that are, you know, shouting at officials are really inspirational, because that, in the end, making the officials' life more difficult will bring change. Besides that, and besides pressuring people, support us in whatever way you see fit. I mean, if you come to Palestine, then volunteer with Palestinian communities in the West Bank. If you do not come, you can donate both to Gazan relief funds, West Bank relief funds, and also to our own activism, which we do not accept any money for our own good. We just, you know, need things to protest. And always collaborate with us, talk with us. We would love to come talk with whoever wants to, and extend the message to them.
Well, we hope to have you back on, Iddo Elam.
Thank you so
maybe
much.
We can get, if there's any links that you think might be helpful for people to have, shoot me an email and we'll put those up. But again, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you for telling us about it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, folks.
I'll remember that question in like 5 minutes. God damn it.
That's all right. Well, we'd love to have him back.
It was a great place to stop, and he needs to rest.
Yes, I mean, literally just coming off of a hunger strike. I mean, his
like
bravery,
2 hours ago.
Yeah, I'll just say we take votes for best of, but even if nobody votes for that, I'll be putting that in the best of for Christmas.
We need to. I mean, I don't even. It's difficult for me to understand as someone who's never been to Israel, and definitely never grew up there. But the amount of pressure, indoctrination, social conditioning, propaganda that as a young person you have to overcome. I mean, it's reflected in the poll numbers. it just speaks to the bravery of what he and his other activists are doing there in Israel, because they're still a very significant minority, but it's just so it gives me hope, for sure.
Folks, we're going to head into the fun half. You can support this show by becoming a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. When you do, you not only get the free show free of commercials, you also get the fun half. Jointhemajorityreport.com. Also, Just Coffee. They sell fair trade coffee. They are a co-op. They work with their farmers, whether they're in Chiapas or Western Africa and Eastern Africa. I'm not sure exactly where their farmers are in Africa and the African continent, but nevertheless, I know I've been up there in Wisconsin years ago, and they were telling me it was a tough year for some folks in Chiapas, and they work with those farmers because they started their business as a co-op to support farmers, particularly in Chiapas. That's where it started. But justcoffee.coop. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. You can buy the Majority Report blend. People love it. Matt, what's happening on Left Reckoning?
Yeah, tonight on Left Reckoning, 7 o'clock Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitch. We got Neil Meyer on talking about a typology of socialisms in the 21st century, what separates democratic socialism, social democracy, and communism from one another. We talk about Zoran and through the lens of that sort of question. And also Tiara Gattimora, a Spanish-Italian journalist, coming on to talk about how Europe views America after Trump wins, the fallout of Russia, Ukraine, and also Gaza, and also Station 11, the novel and HBO show that is really excellent. So check that out tonight, patreon.com/Left Reckoning, because that discussion with Tiara is going to be for members only.
Ooh. Jay Tingle IMs the show. How like a Democrat to post a best of clip that no one voted for.
This is,
I mean,
nobody claimed it was a democracy around here.
Exactly.
Dictatorship of the producers.
Exactly. Folks, see you in the fun half.
3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. And I don't think it's going to be the same as it looks like in 6 months from now. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to be better 6 months from now than it is 3 months from now. But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What? What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
The Majority Report.
Emma, welcome to the program.
Hey.
Matt.
What is up, everyone?
Nomi Key.
You did it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's
Stop talking for a second and let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7A?
Yes.
Hi, me? Is this?
Yes.
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello? Is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single frickin' day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm going to go throw up.
Who libertarians?
They're so stupid, though.
Common sense says, of course.
gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed him.
So what's 79 plus 21?
Challenge Matt.
I'm positively quivering.
I believe 96, I want to say. 857-210-501. 1/2. 3/8.
9/11, for instance.
$3,400, $1,900.
6, 5, 4, $3 trillion sold. It's a zero-sum game.
Actually, you're making me think less of it.
But let me say this. Poop.
You can call it satire. Sam goes with satire.
On top of it all,
Yeah.
my favorite part about you is just like every day, all day, like everything you do.
Without a doubt. Hey, buddy, we see you. All right, folks.
It's just the weak being weeded out, obviously.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
I love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump.
I'm losing it, bro.
2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Back.
We are back. Sam Seder, Emma Vigland, Fun Half, Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Sushi with the boys. Shout out to Emily Burge, who's running against a Welcome PAC funded corporate Dem in Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district. Derek Van Orden is almost guaranteed to lose his seat, so a real progressive in office would be a welcome change. And I'm sorry, that was not Sushi Blood Boys. That was Global Kuna Matata. Sushi with the Blood Boys said, we just had the first ever heat advisory in Juneau, Alaska. We got into the low 80s yesterday. It makes me want to share my favorite Eric Adams quote. Juneau is the Phoenix of America. No. That's not great news that Juneau is having its
No.
It's not encouraging.
See the glaciers while you can, folks.
What should we
call.
get to? I really sort of feel like we should do something fun.
Either Rogan and the CIA guy or Laura Loomer.
Yeah, let's break this open with a little Laura Loomer, and then we'll open up the phones. Oh, also, RFK Jr. talking to Chris Cuomo. Ay, ay, ay. That could... Poor Chris Cuomo, right?
Yeah, poor Chris Cuomo.
Wait, why?
Well,
It's
Chris
not usually
Cuomo,
what I say.
Chris Cuomo had a moment where he definitely thought, my brother's going to be mayor. I'm going to be relevant again. Nobody would have ever called me Fredo if it wasn't for my brother. And he thought his brother was going to be mayor and that he would get back on the scene. But no, he's just going to be he's just going to be another YouTube dude like us.
Yep, just bench pressing in his basement.
Sorry, dude. Well, let's play that clip since we teed it up. Speaking of another guy who likes to bench press, RFK Jr. apparently. What was it? Where did you see it? Like he was walking around with just jeans and no shirt. Where like
he was hiking somewhere, and it was like apparently nearly 100 degrees, and he was walking around with no shirt on and long blue jeans.
Yeah, but that's what he does. He works out. There's many videos of him working out in the gym with a nice pair of Levi's on and no shirt.
And I've just gotta ask.
I can't help it if I have so much testosterone that I just am compelled to go on a serious hike in the middle of like whatever I'm doing.
And it's funny you mentioned testosterone and RFK Jr. and also Chris Cuomo. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know anything about Chris Cuomo, but I will tell you that like
he also loves to post workout videos, and they also have that red-faced bloat thing going on there.
It's cool to work out. I just don't understand the wearing of jeans. Like, it makes me so unbearably uncomfortable to look at that picture.
It's my impression of a blue-collar man. I've never met
they wear
one before.
basketball shorts from like 2004 still. They got.
There is literally nothing worse than wet jeans.
Trek, Jack marks from testosterone shots.
Denim impressions on his
All right, let's
old
play
legs.
this together.
Those are
Let's
actually
play this together.
jeggings. They're jeggings. They're made of nylon.
Let's put this. Put it up.
Thinking about it, and I'm sure I know as a matter of fact, you've experienced it personally. People threatening you just because they don't agree with you, wanting to hurt you, wanting to hurt your family. That's not how it's always been. What do you think?
I think it has for that family.
Bobby?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What have you figured out while you've been in the
Pause
role
it. Does
and actually
Chris
been inside?
Cuomo not know that? Did he not hear about JFK or RFK?
He was talking about the 40s, I think.
Those were apolitical assassinations. Then don't even look into it. Don't look to any weird connections surrounding either
Had
of them.
he not heard
like it
about
used
the
to
stuff
be.
about JFK being Catholic? Or what about the stuff around Ted Kennedy? I mean, okay, whatever. That's fine.
Like I said, it used to be much better, right? Kennedy.
Agree with you, wanting to hurt you, wanting to hurt your family. That's not how it's always been. What do you think can get us to a better place, Bobby? What have you figured out while you've been in the role and actually been inside the machine?
Oh, pause it for 1 second. You know, we should also remind people that these guys were almost, I mean, I don't know what the technical term. Kennedy was Andrew Cuomo's brother-in-law. I think his first marriage was to Cuomo. And so these guys are almost like, I don't know, cousin-in-laws, but I don't know what you would call it. Go ahead.
Well,
Squash buddies.
Yeah. And so another reason you would think that Chris would be a little bit more up on the family history, but I don't know.
He's making a point.
You know, I try to stay within my guardrails. I try to look at the things that I actually can change. And, you know, we're looking at the contribution of SSRI drugs, which are new in the experience of humanity, at black box warnings against violence, against suicidal ideation, against homicidal ideation. We need to look at the contribution that they have to the generalized violence. We need to look at the declines in public health, which are dramatic.
Pause it for a second.
And the food supply.
Pause it for a second. Pause it for a second. I'm certainly open to the idea that SSRIs may be overprescribed in certain instances. But if you look at the past, let's say, I don't know, 30 years, and listen, incidentally, there's a lot of things that have not existed in human history, like these newfangled airplanes that have been around for literally just a blink of the eye relative to humanity. But we still, we still fly. Cars, for that matter. I mean, bicycles, not around that long. But if you track the uptake of SSRIs in this country, and then compare that to the rates of crime over the past 40 years, you probably could not find two graphs that are going in more of an opposite direction. Now, I'm not saying that crime is down because of SSRIs. And it's conceivable that in some instances, SSRIs have these side effects. They are very, very cautious when they put these warnings on these labels. That comes from the FDA, incidentally. But the idea that there's somehow an increase in crime as a function of SSRIs is just completely without any basis whatsoever.
Well, that didn't stop him with vaccines, so.
But we're at a level of. Sorry, don't let me get in your way.
Health issues. Go ahead. So.
No, it's just we are at a level of crime that, for 3 years in a row, we've had the lowest or the highest percentage drop in murder rates since the pandemic. In New York City, it's the lowest. The murder rate is at its lowest in the first half of the year since 1960. So if we're gonna, maybe it's SSRIs that helps lower the murder rate. How about that, dude?
I mean, look, there's a lot of evidence, at least circumstantial, if you look internationally and nationally, that the biggest drop, the biggest cause for the drop of crime is the outlawing of leaded gasoline and all the lead remediation. I mean, you can see it internationally. There's a very, 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 very strong correlation that 20 years or so after leaded gasoline has been outlawed, that crime rates drop precipitously. We've seen this internationally, like I say, and nationally. But regardless, it's just to say the words that this violence is a function of SSRIs is just like a lie on both ends.
They also didn't know
he has no problem with increased gun laws. This guy came from Nevada with a car full of guns to go shoot up people in New York City. There is no doubt in my mind this guy has, some type of untreated, emotional or mental issues. But he should not have been able to get a carload of guns.
Right. They're spouting off about this at 8:14 p.m. Eastern. No one knew fully at this point what the motive is. And now we know this morning that this gunman horrifically went to a Manhattan office building. It's in the same building that it was the NFL headquarters, but he went to the wrong floor and he killed 4 people, including an off-duty police officer. But he played high school football in California nearly 2 decades ago. He has a history of mental illness, and he said he had CTE and was going to shoot up the NFL. But this has no connection to what they're saying on what is a cable news program that is being broadcast into lots of homes.
I mean, it's propaganda to set the agenda, and to look at things. This is classic RFK, which is in science there's something called the null hypothesis, which assumes that there's no significance between 2 variables. But he does this thing constantly where it's this thing started existing, and then this other bad thing started existing. So vaccine started existing, and all of a sudden, people started getting diagnosed with autism more, and just assuming that there's a relationship with that. It's really just awful thinking.
Pop science.
Right.
And the food supply, which also affects moods, it affects depression, it affects mental illness. If people are mitochondrially challenged anymore, there's a professor at Harvard, Dr. Pollan, who is actually curing schizophrenia with using dietary changes. And there are case after case of that. So I really try to focus on the things that I can change here at HHS, and then hope everybody else is doing their job to make this situation better.
So there's a doctor that's curing schizophrenia with diet changes.
Just gotta go gluten-free.
Why haven't people tried that?
All you got to do is start eating your medication. That will then, if you make those changes dietarily, that will help.
I put my pills in the whale eyes. I eat the whale eyes with my pills in them. They go down nice.
As I was saying this before the show, I do like the idea of people secretly medicating RFK Jr. by putting pills in a slice of cheese, like we used to do with my dog growing up.
It would have to be a slice of rare Arctic snow owl breast.
Here it is, fresh from the dairy farm down the road. RFK, just eat the cheese. Don't look inside.
I mean, literally, you can Google this, McGill University. Harvard psychiatrist makes inflated claims about food's power to fight mental illness.
But it's Harvard, so.
2 years ago, this guy was coming out and saying it. Nevertheless, I mean, it's just, there's a guy who said this. There's a guy. So I got a guy who will. I mean, jeez. Unbelievable. I mean, not unbelievable, but we're living in a very strange timeline. You called in, right?
I do not.
Let me check.
Dave Rubin's lab coat. RFK Jr. is the perfect man for this moment. Actual change has been foreclosed to us and collective actions off the table. There's nothing left but our individual actions. Don't worry about changing our world to reduce mental illness. Just take a vitamin.
Sounds like somebody's been having seed oils.
Biden, my time. My arm is broken. Can someone ask RFK if I should eat more broccoli to cure that?
Here's what you do. You get this plantain, you make a spit pulp, and you rub it around your broken arm. Be cured in a week.
Is he one of the Maha people that's obsessed with Zyn too, and nicotine patches, or nicotine not patches?
Who's that?
Pouches. They're all these Maha wellness people that are also just like convinced now. Oh, it's Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson too. But all of those like Trump people are obsessed with Zyn and those things, and they have some Maha influencers who are working backwards and talking about how healthy it is for you to like fit into the
There's a People article that suggests that RFK popped a Zyn during his confirmation hearing.
How else are you going to get through that?
Let's do Laura Loomer. Come on.
Oh my God.
Why not?
Meeting of the minds here.
I think Trump said that one time
Where was
too.
she on PDB? What number is this one?
The PBD podcast. This is number. It's later in the.
It's at the bottom. Yeah, 22.
22. Okay. Patrick Bet-David hosted Laura Loomer on his podcast because why not? They had to do anything to keep Vinny from like blowing Trump's Epstein gamut.
She's anti-Vinny.
Is she anti-Vinny? Oh yeah. Okay. That's what they're really. This is really an assault on Vinny. But here is Laura Loomer on the Patrick Bet-David podcast.
And I would just before you play this, Sam, cut to it, Brian. In the bottom, there is a QR code and it says Laura Loomer, Minect, get expert advice instantly and now. It looks like a dating app. Looks like something like Jack Posobiec might look at when he's expecting. But that is their new scam, which is that you can.
Oh, they've been doing this. They had that when I was there. Even it's their own app where it's like a what do you call it? No, what's it? The Cameo.
Right.
You get some type of like advice from Laura Loomer.
that I'm sure isn't like a chat bot that's trained to talk like Laura Loomer. But anyway,
I'm also convinced that this is a way for them to just collect people's data, and people should probably read the fine print before signing up for those kinds of things.
Probably a nice little subscription charge anyway. But here's Laura Loomer talking about the current state of the right.
Was highlighting a few moments ago about how people are trying to pivot professionally and economically and also politically. And now that we're going to see a post-Trump GOP for the first time in, the last 10 years or so, there's going to be a lot of competing interests that are going to try to capitalize the messaging. Is it going to be the MAGA movement? I don't think so. Not that I don't think the MAGA movement can sustain itself, but there really isn't anybody who could be President Trump's successor. Even President Trump himself was asked during an interview a couple of months ago, do you think that J.D. Vance is your successor? He said no. I don't think there's anybody. And that's no disrespect to J.D. I like J.D. I had a meeting with him in the White House.
You trust him?
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody. I trust Trump.
That's it.
And Trump and I have had these conversations before too.
Are you
Trump asks me all the time, who do you like, Laura? Who do you like? And I say nobody but you. And he laughs. I mean, I've had this same conversation with Trump several times and he busts up laughing. He thinks it's the funniest thing. But I'm not joking.
Are you America first or are you Trump first?
I'm America first. But like Trump is America First. Trump is the leader of the America First movement. So when I say, when Tucker Carlson says, oh, Trump's not America First, Trump is the founder of the America First movement.
You know what is fascinating to me is, I mean, aside from Laura Loomer trying to squeeze in as much like sort of humble brags that she speaks to Trump on a regular basis. And,
all I need is you, Mr.
Vance.
Trump.
I mean, I listen, I've talked to the vice president many times. I like him, but I just don't like him as much as the president, who I've talked to all the time. But aside from that, how do you in one breath say there is no successor to Trump, and then refer to America First or MAGA or any of this as a movement? Like, you know, like the idea, this it is not a movement if there can be no possible leadership other than the guy who's there now. That's a cult.
It's a bowel movement.
Well, also this entire conversation.
but the point is, like, this is not she admits that it is not a movement. It is because if there is no potential for even a successor, if there's no way to have someone who can take it over, it is just a cult. It's
That's
just
exactly
an
what it is.
authoritarian cult.
Yeah.
She doesn't look like a cult member at all.
No.
Well, this entire conversation is premised on the idea that Trump invented America First, and that everyone who, well, I'll just play a little bit more, then we can get into that.
Like, Trump is America First. Trump is the leader of the America First movement. So when I say, when Tucker Carlson says, oh, Trump's not America First, Trump is the founder of the America First movement. America First is what Trump says it is. He is the founder of the America First movement. And you see that there are competing interests now trying to, you know, redefine what that means, because they want to eliminate MAGA, right? Being pro-Israel is part of the America First platform, whether or not people want to admit it or not. It is. President Trump, and I want to speak for him, his policy positions make him a Zionist. And so it's so funny to see all of these grifters who some of them even name their shows after America First, right? You have people who say that they are America First commentators, and they built their entire political careers. I mean, look, you have Nick Fuentes, for example. His entire show is called America First, right? His entire show is
his show called America First?
His show is called America First with Nick Fuentes.
I know he wears the hat.
I'll just say PBD, I don't know if he's been in studio, but I'm pretty sure one of the boys has had Fuentes on Valuetainment property, but
But America First was the movement that was trying to get the United States not to go into World War II.
The America First Committee was Charles Lindbergh's, isolationist
movement. Lindbergh? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I came up with that.
What are you talking about?
Because Fuentes, like, even if you ask Nick Fuentes, he's like, yeah, Trump, I did get this from Trump. But Trump got it from someone else. He didn't invent, just like he didn't invent Make America Great Again.
He took that from Reagan.
What are you talking about? It's morning in America again.
And the funny thing with Loomer trying to say America First means Zionism is that, like Emma said, when you look at the original America First Committee, the main sort of scandal about it was there was a bunch of actual anti-Semites, Hitler-loving anti-Semites in it.
Okay, that's the point.
But it actually fits.
Anti-Semitic and still be Israel first.
This is dialectical. This is the dialectics of it.
But I mean, there's the contradictory part where America First was isolationist, and then she's saying, actually, no, America First is now Zionism, which is definitely not isolationist. But then the true part is that, yeah, in the 21st century, the modern equivalent of Nazis are aligned with the Zionists, and they overlap in almost every way. Yeah. So it does make total sense that our Nazi president is a Zionist.
Except for Israel.
There's a wrinkle in this.
Start with I. You can be okay. Ireland, Israel, isolationist.
The fascism has a wrinkle in it.
Right? His entire show
is his show called America First?
His show is called America First with Nick Fuentes.
I know he wears the hat. I don't know his show was called America First. What do you think about Nick? Very capable communicator. What do you think about it?
He's a very talented communicator, but he burns every bridge that he has because he doesn't know how to express gratitude. He's probably the biggest ingrate I've ever met.
Can you pause this?
Yeah.
This is the woman that chained herself to Twitter's headquarters because she was banned for saying explicitly anti-Muslim hate speech. And what, she had a Jewish star on, like, or talked about how it's
I think she was wearing a yellow armband for a while.
Right, a yellow armband, basically saying that this was equivalent to Nazi Germany, what happened here. And she's now just saying that, like, holding her punches back on Nick Fuentes, who is an explicit
He's an ingrate.
Nazi.
That's the biggest problem with him. It's an
Hitler
ingrate.
apologist.
Yeah, let's see if she gets any more condemnation for this Nazi.
Literal Nazi, and he would
Oh,
say
he's an
so.
ingrate. He's rude. He's rude. He chews with his mouth open, so forget it.
He doesn't send thank you notes.
His etiquette could use some work.
My life. I'm Jewish.
Ingrate?
Ingrate. He is an ingrate. And I am Jewish.
Nazi.
And, you know, I got a lot of heat. When I ran for Congress, I lost a lot of donors because I defended Nick's right to free speech. I said, look, even as a Jew, I don't like a lot of the stuff he says about Jews in Israel, but he has a right to say it. And I don't think that somebody his age or just anybody, doesn't matter how old you are, should be demonized and have their bank account shut down and be blacklisted everywhere. I mean I've been subjected to that. I know
He
what
has
it's
as
like.
well, though, right? I think he.
And just a note, like, that's a claim by Fuentes. I'm not sure if there's actually reporting about that bank thing, but to say that when Loomer says I've been through that too, you know, she's also referring to the Twitter protest, but also she tweeted at Uber and Lyft saying, "Can you like create a feature where I can make sure I don't get a Muslim driver?" And both of those apps were like, "We're going to ban you from the app. Thank you very much."
Don't you? You guys have a lot in common.
That's what I'm trying to say. I've known Nick for several years because we both were a select few group of people. A very small group of people who had been viciously deplatformed. There's not many people outside of us who, and now he has access to his Twitter account too, but I'm still banned on all these other platforms. And I had been debanked and shut down on all the same payment platforms he did. So we kind of connected in that sense over our shared experience being deplatformed and persecuted, even if we don't agree on all of the issues. And, you know, there's countless videos of him talking about, oh, Laura's so great. Oh, she's my friend. Oh, she's wonderful. He endorsed me when I ran for Congress, even if, you know, he publicly said that
These
he didn't
people
agree
are
with me on the
all psychopaths. Honestly, this is all just like high school shit.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You and that Nazi have a lot in common. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes, we do. He's a Nazi. I'm a self-righteous Jew.
We both get repudiated for open
because
bigotry.
We're both completely insane. We share a lot of things together.
We're insane and we hate Muslims.
Gosh, I'm just trying to find what she said about Ilhan Omar being, you know, she goes so hard, anti-Jewish, you know, just anything about Muslim people, she's totally, absolutely off her rocker about. But with Nick Fuentes, who openly praises Hitler,
he's an ingrate.
They just have some quibbles. But I will defend his right to say it. Meanwhile, Ilhan Omar should be deported.
I'll defend his being a Nazi, but it is really a lack of professional courtesy that I don't appreciate.
You want more?
Do a little more gratitude.
I mean, let's just listen to a little bit more. This stuff is like, honestly, like, I had a daughter in 8th grade. I don't need to hear too much more of this, honestly, but go ahead.
The Israel issue. But he is very ungrateful. You would think that somebody would realize, wow, you know, she didn't need to go out on a limb for me. She got a lot of backlash from the Jewish community for defending my right to defend myself. But then he goes on a show and says that I'm a quote, a dog-faced bitch. And he says that he calls me the biggest
Broken
whore
clock.
in politics. Like just from 2 weeks ago, that's what he said about me. Not a sexual whore. Like he says that, oh, her mouth is for rent. Why is my mouth for rent? Because I don't agree with you, because I don't want to jump on your bandwagon of attacking President Trump. You're an ingrate. Change the name of your show. Stop ripping off President Trump's branding. If you're going to say that your show is America First and you're propping up billboards attacking him and you're saying that, oh, he's fat, he's a loser, he's this, he's that. Like, when are you going to change the name of your show? He's admitted that he's made hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars off of his show, which is literally a reappropriation of Donald Trump's branding. So, without going into a tirade, I'll just say, I tried to defend his right to free speech. I never advocated for his blacklisting. I never said that he should be canceled. I always said that he should have a right to be able to say what he wants to say. But he turns on everybody. It's like an injured dog that just goes in a corner. That goes in a corner.
All right, whatever.
Interesting to find that the not self-loathing Nazi seems to not be able to maintain social connections.
This Nazi's ethics seem a little bit off.
It's so crazy. And I can't get over it. I mean, these people are lunatics. They are all lunatics. She is complaining that the Nazi has stolen branding from somewhere. Well, they also, guess where else he stole it from?
from
Guess
India.
where else he stole it from?
Yeah.
That logo of his?
He called Trump fat. Oh, and then here's all of the kind of hilarious ways that he made fun of my physical appearance. I'll list them here. They're so petty. Like, I this is not just limited to the right. I will say there's some center and center-left media that acts like this too. On the internet, where and I guess it's not limited to just online media. It's all about their personal beefs with people. Like, why are you in this space? I mean, it's all performative for them. They don't really care too much about like what they're saying unless they're on Team Trump more broadly. It's all about like little beefs and petty grievances.
But they're not. I mean, the fascinating thing is like, yes, her issue isn't at all ideological or policy oriented towards Fuentes. It is all just
who's nice to me,
aggrievement.
Who's nice to me?
Yes.
Who's nice to me? And I'll orient my politics around that.
Speaking as a frog, that scorpion is an absolute ingrate. He was sitting on the edge of the water and looking like he needed a way across. I give him a ride and he stabs me in the back halfway across. What a damn ingrate.
It's not even that. Like, it wasn't even it. Like, how did he stab her in the back? By calling her dog face? I mean, that's it. It's like.
But she's Jewish. Wouldn't the initial stabbing in the front be the thing of him saying, I'm a Nazi?
Hey,
the anti-Semitism.
It's one thing to be a Nazi. It's another to say that I don't look good.
It's one thing to say I should be in camps. It's another to say, yeah, visibly I'm not the best on the eyes.
Oh, my God.
God, it's pathetic.
Folks, the phone number is 646-257-3920. 646-257-3920. The phone lines are open.
Is that your Tim Pool voice?
It's all real now. The phone lines are totally open, ladies and gentlemen. If you are interested in being a part of the show. John from T-Burg, really disappointed in the majority report today. Extremely judgmental show. Who amongst us hasn't been a dog-faced Nazi piece of garbage at one point of our lives? You should have some decency. Sorry about that. Let's go to the.
Do you want to do fifth? Oh,
yeah. Which one do you want to do?
Well, I want to start paying a little bit more attention to some of these Senate races. If 15 is just, this is silly, but it just. This is a bit of a fascinating story because we're seeing that Roy Cooper has announced in North Carolina that he's going to be running for Senate, and Tom Tillis is retiring rather than face the wrath of, Elon Musk or, well, maybe not Musk's money anymore, but Donald Trump, and they're going to try to put some MAGA person forward. But the Republican governors who were considered best positioned to run for Senate in their states seem to be opting out. There's Chris Sununu in New Hampshire, and then there's Brian Kemp in Georgia, who does not like this guy, Mike Collins. People may remember Mike Collins as the very online MAGA representative who tweeted, "Ole Miss taking care of business," when there was that video of that black woman who was at a pro-Palestine demonstration, and there were a bunch of frat guys in American flag shorts doing monkey voices and gestures at her. So he said Ole Miss taking care of business to that. He was also tweeting a call for that person who was accused of being an illegal migrant who pushed that NYPD officer allegedly in New York, saying that he should be thrown from a helicopter by Pinochet. This is the kind of poster that he is. But Kemp doesn't like him. He wants this other kind of no-name guy who used to be a football coach at Tennessee for the Vols to run in that primary. So this is setting up a pretty messy primary in Georgia between what'd you say?
Philip Fulmer?
No, not. I don't think he was the head coach. His name is Derek Dooley, and his father was also a football coach. Anyway, this is going to be a bit of a dogfight between Kemp's preferred candidate and then this guy Mike Collins. And he announced his candidacy yesterday and misspelled Georgia in the campaign ad.
Who amongst us?
Unrelenting. You gotta be unafraid to fight. You gotta be unafraid to call balls and strikes, a spade to spade. And I think y'all seen, I don't mind doing that.
Mike Collins, great job you're doing.
We're gonna put the hammer down and we're gonna get it done.
Joriga, let's ride.
We're gonna get her done. Not the spelling part.
It's amazing. Do you think they made it with AI?
Gioriga.
I think AI would have spelled it right.
No,
Maybe.
No, that's definitely they just because it just need to replace the I and the G, right? They fat fingered it.
This was his campaign launch. Remember when Ron DeSantis did his campaign launch on the audio only Twitter Spaces platform?
Yeah, it just crashed.
And it like, what is with these guys and this low effort garbage?
He's too busy.
Gioriga.
He's a
What's
trucker.
wrong with that? Get her done.
I don't got time to spell. I'm putting the hammer down.
We got stuff to do. He honestly was like, all right, this is what I want. Every possible platitude by any comedian through the 80s into the 90s. So just like, I want one part cable guy, one part
Tim Allen.
Tim Allen.
There's your sign.
Give me some carrot top too, because blow up something with that gun. Get her done.
Imagine that'd be the world's best comedian.
I guess Julie was the head coach.
Gioriga ever.
I guess he was the head coach. I apologize. I didn't know if he was, but we're hearing Chicago Letter Carrier says Dooley makes Tuberville look like FDR. So, I mean...
That's impressive.
Kemp
let's look at
Kemp or Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, would have been more formidable against Ossoff.
This is a speech he gave recently, which I think is a great message. Look, John Ossoff is never going to be voting exactly as I want, but on balance, as a senator from Georgia, much better than I had anticipated.
And he voted to block arms to Israel, which we appreciate, but he did also vote for the Laken Riley Act. Now, Laken Riley was from Georgia, so and Warnock has said he regrets that vote, I believe. It was a tough vote for them, but it's pretty bad.
The Democratic Party's immigration positions are not going to come from people elected from the almost reddest states that a Democrat's coming from.
Right.
It's if the blue state Democrats do not come up with a decent immigration policy, one that involves like respect for immigrants, one that promotes the idea that immigrants are good for America. You can't expect the sort of the frontline Democrats to be any better.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But he seems to be talented politically because like he's ahead of the messaging here when 80% of Democrats haven't caught up.
Yep.
See, I get why people voted for him. Because even before he came on the scene, America had the most corrupt political system in the Western world. It's been running on corporate money, secret money, billionaire money, both sides. And it's worse than ever now. Citizens United was the worst court decision in modern American history. And when members of Congress aren't begging for money from lobbyists, they're trying to dodge getting carpet bombed by these super PACs. Senators get threatened every day with millions and millions of dollars of attack ads over the votes that we take. And see, this is why nothing works for ordinary people. It's not because of woke college kids or trans students or because there are interracial couples in cereal commercials. It's because the people's elected representatives don't represent the people, they represent the donors. And that corruption is why they just defunded nursing homes to cut taxes for the rich. Corruption is why you pay a fortune for prescriptions. Corruption is why your insurance claim keeps getting denied. Corruption is why hedge funds get to buy up all the houses in your neighborhood, driving you out of the market, and then your corporate landlord ignores your calls during a gas leak. Corruption is why that ambulance costs $3,000 after you just had to get your choking toddler to the hospital. So Trump promised to attack a broken system. I get it. Ripe target. But here's the thing, he's a crook and a con man, and he wants to be a king. Yes, the system really is rigged, but Trump's not unrigging it, he's re-rigging it for himself.
I mean, this is pretty good stuff from a guy who obviously doesn't want to say that the problem is capitalism.
I know that's that's what I want him to say.
The
but
other C word. But I mean, this is
a little Warren 2020. But
I mean,
yeah.
this is this is the way that the senators are going to talk about it. It's going to be rare. It would be nice, let's say, if you had like a blue state Democrat, like maybe one from New York, who could actually talk about these problems are problems endemic to capitalism. And the corruption implies like the system is not working as it's designed to work. And it is. It is working. The reason why these things cost that much more is because capitalism incentivizes profit. The reason why the influence is peddled in this way is because capitalism incentivizes these decisions on a political level. I mean, that's the reality of it. But he has to use the word corruption as if there is a system, as if you could extract these things from capitalism and everything would be fine. You can't. But it's still good framing as a political matter. And if he votes in ways to curb these things,
which would be to not vote for, say, the Genius Act about cryptocurrency. We talk about
100%.
Yes, he's terrified about
He'll get
getting Sherrod Brown.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think
he's probably speaking directly, as he says, like, you get threatened with this money. That's probably what he's talking about at the beginning of that. I mean, I think it's personal
also
experience.
Getting threatened with AIPAC money because of his votes not to send arms. I mean, he was one of the handful of senators that was saying to block arms to Israel.
And I will say, he will get the opportunity to vote again on that Genius Act in 6-7 years if he gets reelected as a senator when it causes another financial crisis. He'll be able to vote for the fix for it.
And I don't know if he has legs as a presidential candidate. I mean, he's doing the Obama cadence more subtly than Josh Shapiro, and also with way better politics.
It a lot less than he used to. Go back and look at his first time he ran. It was super thick.
And I think in terms of presidential ambitions, we should be aiming higher than Ossoff. But what I like about that clip is what it indicates maybe about how Democrats can run in these races that are going to be competitive in 2026. Definitely an improvement to be talking about, corporate landlords and high hospital and ambulance costs than, I don't know, say why we've gone too far on trans rights or whatever, like Rahm Emanuel is trotting out.
I don't know. He could get some
Pete
explosions. in his
Buttigieg
ads,
also
though.
had a.
And
I was
some
say
rhymings.
Pete Buttigieg also threw trans kids under the bus the other day.
Did he?
Yeah,
Do we
some interview that he did. I can't remember where I read it, but he was talking about he doesn't want his daughter playing against boys in high school or elementary school sports, and it's
Wait,
like,
are
oh
you
my God.
joking?
It was with the New York
I
Times,
am
I'm pretty
not
sure.
joking.
Do we have that footage of him on Zoran too?
Yes, we do have that.
Would you want to talk about that, Sam, or you want to go to the phones?
Let's go do that. Let me see that. I haven't seen that one.
So basically, here he is on NPR, and
I think it was the same interview.
same interview. Okay, so maybe we can find that clip at some point. But this is he's asked here about Zoran Mamdani's win in New York City in the primary, and this isn't the worst answer, but it is an answer that someone with a background in consulting would give. And I want people to pay attention to the subtleties of how he talks about Zoran's victory and extricates it from policy. Well, maybe not policy. He calls it ideology. I would call it policy. And kind of removes the element of confiscatory taxation for the wealthiest people from the central focus of the conversation. Pete is a very talented speaker. I'll give him that. He really is. But like Zoran is also an example of someone who's a talented speaker, but who has the politics and the authenticity to back it up. And
yeah, much wider appeal, I would say, than the type of good speaking that Pete Buttigieg does.
Right.
I think that he also, just as a matter of campaign strategy, was omnipresent. He was everywhere. He's going on podcasts. He was doing social media. And so I think a lot of more conventional political operatives didn't see him coming.
Andrew Cuomo had a more conventional media campaign.
For sure. And I think in many ways, he, in addition to the moral disqualifications that went with his history, he just didn't. If anything, he reminded, I think, a lot of people of the status quo. So I think a lot of people are focused on the leftism, the ideological leftism, that I think we shouldn't be so surprised that prevailed in a New York Democratic Party primary. But I think if my party wants to learn lessons from Mamdani's success that are portable to a place like Michigan, where I live, it's less about the ideology and more about the message discipline of focusing on what people care about and the tactical wisdom of getting out there and talking to everybody.
The tactical wisdom. I mean, so former McKinsey consultant does as a former McKinsey consultant do. It's all the focus on the manipulation of the message and not on the core of the message itself. There's all of this focus on Zoran Mamdani's social media strategy, which was phenomenal. There should be even more focus on his ground game, which was like about door knocking, over 1 million doors knocked by his campaign.
By socialists.
But it was by socialists. And that campaign is only possible. That kind of campaign, the tactics of the campaign are only possible with a politics that brings in all different kinds of people in the coalition into the fold and appeals to their basic needs. And so you cannot separate this tactics of Zoran's campaign, the strategy, from the policy in and of itself. But there's a concerted effort to do that. And Pete Buttigieg is speaking to it because he knows that he doesn't have the capacity or the belief ideologically to do anything more than the tactics. And the tactics in and of themselves will not be effective because people aren't stupid.
Well, it's not. He tries to make the tactics about Mamdani himself.
Yeah.
So in other words, like I get the idea that Buttigieg would say, okay, New York City is going to be to the left of Michigan in terms of ideology and politics. However, you cannot get out there, as he says. Like, I mean, look, 40 years ago, a politician, you could have said, like, what should I do? Well, make sure you get, you go and shake hands with people and go to the county fair. I mean, that's not the surprise here. The surprise is, do you have policies that will mobilize that many other people who are not you to go out and carry the message? Because yes, Pete Buttigieg can go out every single day as he campaigns in Michigan, but if he doesn't have a commensurate amount of volunteers who are inspired by his message, I mean, that's the thing that they're trying to sort of be obtuse about. Is that
that's why Zoran beat the progressives?
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, that's the bottom line. And so he says you got to be out there and really get out there, and be with the people. But the fact of the matter is like, you necessarily have to have policies that animate people, so that they get out there.
And this is the problem right now with the Democratic Party, which is all about there's a huge consultant class that cares about continuing to get employed. And so they are putting out there all of this stuff about how, okay, they've centered around affordability as Zoran's central message. And that's a partial truth. But it's not just about talking about the economy in these vague terms.
I feel your pain.
You can't go out there with the volunteer army or with the strategy that he's accurately praising and say nothing and expect to have the same results. Zoran's message was strong and simple because it wasn't so focus tested by a bunch of consultants who are working overtime to try to find a way around the obvious glaring answer in the center of all of this, which is that we need to tax the rich and redistribute wealth to make people's lives easier. And Buttigieg is incapable of promoting those kinds of politics. So it's all about, like, where does the wind blow? He can be a talented speaker all he wants, but what does Buttigieg want to do for the American people? He's going to have to lay that out once he eventually runs for president. And you notice how the guys like this, they're still, and this is a problem with Democrats in Congress too, the worst of the ones, are already focused on midterms and winning, and they never talk about governing. They never talk about what they're going to do in power and how they're going to wield it. It's always about strategy, and there's a place for that. But I don't know what Buttigieg stands for. Everyone knows what Zoran Mamdani stands for, and that's why his tactics worked.
And there's a studious missing of the point here when it comes to not only just disregarding ideology, which if ideology does have anything to do with it, Pete is in trouble, or he better start talking to his Marxist dad again. But the real problem and the lack on the progressive side, the more liberal progressive side that Buttigieg speaks to, is they have no organization. They can't put people in the streets the way
Well, that's
Zoran
exactly
can.
the point.
And why can't they? Why is I like, as a socialist, I like that the socialists are the ones that do this. But I frankly think it'd be better for the country if, say, the organizing apparatus that Obama had created, Organizing for America, would still be visible.
Yeah,
it is not. It's nowhere.
Yep. He purposely canned it when he got elected.
Put all that towards
exactly it.
Media consultants
That is
instead.
exactly it. And of course, not to belabor this point, but the consultants who will work on these campaigns will always gear the messaging towards stuff that makes them money. And organizing people does not make them money. Buying ads on media, that makes them money. Calling from a 323 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's John from West Hollywood.
John from West Hollywood, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to bring up a topic I haven't heard on your show. I've been listening quite a bit. Has anybody asked you about veganism? Has that been a guest or anybody like that?
Ever asked me? We haven't had, I don't know if we've had a vegan on the show in years, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, Will Potter, if you know who he is, he's somebody I would recommend. But I know you've talked about eating various options, and I never hear you people talking about veganism. You got young people here too, like Emma and others, Matt, and my own son. But he is vegan. He's in the same age range as they are. But there's so many reasons to go vegan, and in a place like New York and L.A., it's easy. I don't know why it's not talked about more on your show. All the negativities involved with eating meat are horrific.
Yeah, I agree. I think to a large extent, and I don't disagree with you. To a large extent, we tend to focus on stuff that is more sort of like policy oriented. And there's a lot of things like individually that we can be doing that I think would be helpful. Veganism is one of them. There's a lot of things as individuals that we can do. I mean, we promote organizing, which is a mechanism for the, but I think just sort of, I have nothing against it, but I think it is like, sort of individual choices at the end of the day are not going to cut it. It would have, I think, far more impact to say stop subsidizing, let's say, feed corn, and so that there is less beef produced, period, right? Like that, then trying to individually go and get different people to go vegan.
Yeah, those industries are subsidized heavily by our tax dollars, obviously,
yes.
And they have a lot of influence on politicians, so it is a factor for that. It's also a lot of epidemics are because of animal consumption, like we've dealt with recently, and just general climate chaos in general. It's pretty significant. But all you ever hear about anywhere is driving cars, gas and blah blah blah. They never hardly anybody I hear talk about a significant amount of damage done to the earth by people eating meat and dairy products.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
it hurts a lot of things. Antibiotics are affected by it too because they use them so much on animals.
Exactly.
Worker exploitation, like Trump made the.
I understand, but I guess the question isn't whether the damage is there. The question is whether the best way to approach solving this is to try and individually convince each individual in this country to become a vegan.
I don't expect everybody to, but I'm thinking people like you could do so. I didn't go vegan until I was in my 50s, so it took me too long, I think. But
no, I understand, but I'm talking about as a show.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand that, but hey, here's a few people you might want to talk to. You know them, and I think they're all vegan now. Sarah Silverman, Mark Maron, and David Feldman.
Sarah Silverman has been a vegetarian at least for her entire life, as I remember.
The people you list have considerable means at their disposal. So
right, but I live in an apartment. I don't have a lot of money. It's not an issue, and a lot of animal products are expensive too. But they're also subsidized.
Listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying as a show. Do you know that? I never knew this. I mean, I've known it for years. But Marcus Malitzis, the guy who started Daily Kos, he's a vegan. He never used that as a platform to do that. And I think part of the reason is, and I feel like we're talking past each other, is that we're advocating for policy, not individual decisions. I mean, it comes up from time to time, obviously, in the course of things. And certainly in the past, I've had vegans on, and we've talked about it as a political choice. But I'm suggesting to you that the bad things that you're talking about that come from eating meat or using meat byproducts or they're bad. I agree with you. But that as a political matter, that programmatically for what this show does, it doesn't make as much sense for us to try and encourage a bunch of individuals to do something. That's all. But I appreciate it.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Just wanted to put it out there. Thank you.
No, I got it. Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
I've
Jim,
been eating river otter for the last 2 weeks and it cured my schizophrenia. So,
Jim from PA, extremely disappointing you guys for not telling people to decrease their intake of beans to reduce the amount of methane humans produce. Poe and Pope, you don't even have to go vegan, but you can have a few vegan days a week has a positive impact. Yes, definitely. Like, listen, obviously, I hope people understand that I'm not like against veganism. And I do think that and I certainly have over the years cut back dramatically on the amount of meat that I eat for all of these reasons. Health reasons, for health of the planet reasons, for climate change reasons. And I suspect that it is, as Kowalski says, veganism is likely going to be the norm at some point, but I can't argue the ethics, but I'm concerned with the disruption of current food system without a plan to replace calories. The big issue is we have a global labor shortage in agriculture, and animals supplement this shortage. I also don't want more corporate consolidation of the food industry in which the health industry is basically all captured. There's a lot of issues around it. And you know, I think like as a show, we try and for the most part focus on broad policy things. And individuals doing, becoming vegan is just not it. That doesn't mean that we think it's a bad thing to do.
No, I don't think so. But we talk about Make America Healthy Again and the danger of making health about personal consumptive choices. And I think if people have the means to go vegan, they should. I do try to cut back my meat intake, but I'm not there yet. It's just, I don't think the politics of this are good when you go at it from an individual kind of shaming perspective. And it's also some of the most out-of-touch conversations I've ever had with people who will be like, a banana costs the same as a Big Mac. You could make your own meal for X. There are people working 3 jobs. Like, what are we talking about here?
Bad or worse, or as a vegan, proselytizing people to be vegan to save the environment is similar to telling individual people they need to recycle their plastics to stop pollution when it should be systemically addressed. Yes, that's a good point. Let's go to a 857 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, let me get off the AirPods. I know they're not great.
Yours aren't too bad as far as they go.
Hey, guys.
That's better. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello.
This is Tim from Boston.
Tim from Boston. What's on your mind?
I wanted to tell you guys about VetTix, VETTIX. It lets veterans, they call them free tickets, but I pay usually like $17 in a delivery fee for like 4 tickets. And the reason I'm calling is because everybody on the crew went on and on about how much they'd like to go to sports events. And here in Boston, there's constantly like Red Sox tickets and stuff available for me. So if Brian is a veteran, which he's implied multiple times, he can access it. And
I'll neither confirm nor deny.
And if there are any veterans or first responders, because there's a sister organization called First Tix, which provides donated tickets to first responders. So anyway, I was thinking that maybe we could use the Discord to organize group outings, and you guys could probably just go with Brian.
Well,
they don't want to hang out with me.
Brian, hold on. Maybe Brian get me Celtics tickets
chaperone.
when they come to Brooklyn. But does it count if Brian's AWOL? He's not technically a vet yet, right?
It's an honorable discharge. I don't know how many times I had to say this. It was an honorable discharge.
W. Bush style.
Exactly. All right, Tim, but appreciate it. Folks should check it out and head to the Discord and get some outings going. Thanks for the call. Let's go to
one more thing on that. You called Iddo, excuse me, brave. When I went through a similar conscientious objector situation, and you never called me brave once.
Because the way you handled it was just by sending stuff to the wrong people. You did. That's where I understood what they were saying with Iddo, which is like we can't deal with you anymore. That's what I figured out.
When he was saying that, I was like, I've been there, brother. I've been there.
Brian really just drove the army nuts, and they basically said, "Please
get out of here."
Please
they gave me a sweetheart deal.
Oh, they did. If you don't read too deep into his record,
nobody looks beyond honorable discharge. Why would you?
Your name's not actually Brian. You took it from your supervisor and changed your whole identity to become an ad man.
Yeah, exactly. This is a madman story. Let's go. Calling from a 423 area code. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Sam and crew. Claire from East Tennessee here.
Claire from East Tennessee. What's on your mind?
I want to do a real quick personal update and then try to cover really quick broad strokes if that works for y'all. Tie all this up.
Okay.
Real quick, for those who weren't able to catch the June 25th fun half, I gave my story about healthcare disruptions as a trans woman due to GOP cult insanity. Update is me and my wife are stable. We found a decent practice that takes the current landscape into account. Great staff, great quality of care. Prescriptions are in the system. It's a blessing, and I just wanted to alleviate any dread maybe for a stranger there may have been. At the same time, I by no means want it to seem like, the fight for trans rights is over, because, oh my God. Yeah, so I mean, we're really going through, the zone is completely flooded, and it's boiling with the nonsense around, pulling out all the stops to, protect a convicted predator and, felon and all that wonderful stuff. Yeah, I just think if we haven't reached the fever pitch, we've probably surpassed it in several ways. I mean, somehow there's a semblance of a political process and courts, even though they're being disregarded. But I had this the weeks after I first called you, I was thinking a lot about how, existing power is, we are held in the grip of narratives and hyper simplifications that, I mean, it's I think it was Pete Buttigieg throwing trans kids under the bus, if I heard right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just and people taking, supporting trans people to be this leftist, ideological, nasty agenda. And it's just it's literally just 60-year-old grandmas being hey, I would like my trans daughter to not be persecuted. And, it's just, but I feel with all the desperation, the working 15 jobs and childcare and healthcare, I just feel we, the people, need our own version of flooding the zone. And what we saw Mehdi Hassan go through, it really just lays out very clearly the reduced, distilled purpose of conservatism, not just fascism, but literally the entire umbrella of conservative thinking. It's really about, as we all know, projection, and it's all about, like what we saw with Laura Loomer, just, high school yammering. And this is what people I've known personally for years go through when they have a crisis of what politics are and the fact that reality gets updated with new facts. And it is all about the patriarchal entitlement to control other people, to vindicate their God. There's a reason we don't debate fascists. It's not because, they're so yucky and bad that they're just not worthy of debate. It's because we know these patterns. We know that we're in this, like, once you get in that loop of talking to fascists, it's, if anything, you're emboldening them. And, oh my God, the talk you gave with the Israeli conscientious objector, that is so beautiful. And please put that in the best of, because that was just beautiful. I love that shirt. I love that man. God bless him. But yeah, and to wrap it all up really quick, we're going to mark Michael Brooks' birthday in August, and you, Sam, gave a really great emphasis on the fact that he was a very internationalist thinker. He really influenced me in a lot of ways, in terms of, if people are struggling over there, they're usually struggling over here. And this is that's the thing. It's like these politicians are not grasping the class totality that the world is going through. And I really think with the Epstein hell, with all of the flailing of the right, there has to come a point where it's like this explosion of human sense. And it's like all the nastiness has to eventually come to an exhaustion point. And from there, we see very little bits of MAGA being like, okay, maybe I should talk to my 20-year-old leftist kids because I'm so burnt out on supporting daddy when he's, being the deep state. And I don't know. I think we need to harness creativity and humor as a vehicle for clarity. And we need to tie that with internationalism and
humanism.
I think, yes. And I don't want to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Claire, sorry.
No, you go. No, you go ahead.
Well, I've been thinking about the moment of cynicism, how Trump just contributes to this lack of meaning and purpose, and it's the reality TV show presidency that will entertain and keep people captivated because there's nothing else that can be offered. And it's this empty void that it's easy to be filled with, not that he doesn't foster it actively, but even in the absence of it, cynicism, anger, frustration. There's nowhere to put that energy because it's not like we function in a real democracy. It's
they don't know what to do with their disillusionment.
They don't know what to do with it, and it makes it so nothing has meaning except I'm going to get mine. It's reflected in the healthcare policy of the administration. But I do think that eventually people will crave that connection. And, there's, I'm sure, going to be analysis done about what the pandemic did to people's concept of social cohesion and the shock that came from that. But I'm already seeing some of it. The collective action by people protecting folks from ICE is an example. And I know this sounds corny, but even that kind of that Superman movie, or how I saw people react to it, which was just about sincerity and the strength being kindness and being good to people. That eventually has to have a resurgence, but I still think we're a little ways away from that, but I see it starting to come on the horizon, hopefully.
Appreciate the call.
Right, and just to wrap up, y'all take care. I love you much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right, we got time for one more quick call. Calling from a 919 area code. You are the final caller of the day.
Hey, Sam, is this me?
Yes, it's you. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Joe calling from, I'm actually in Virginia right now. I work for FedEx, but, you know, there's a lot of talk about, like, conservative uncles and, like, you know, talking with conservative family members. You know, my dad has he's kind of fallen into that trap a little bit recently. Very quick backstory. Hated Bush, hated Obama, hated Trump first term, hated Biden, and now he's like, no matter how I try and talk to him, he just doesn't seem to like click. What do y'all have any like sources I can give him? You know,
he loves
stuff
Trump.
That he won't
now
immediately be like, oh, this is propaganda.
He loved Trump now.
Yeah. No, he hated Trump the first time. I mean, like it was.
What does he like
he thought
about
Trump was
this
literally
time?
what he is now. Say what?
What does he like about Trump this time around?
I don't know. I mean, he raised me to, like, you know, be very apolitical. I'm a very left-leaning person. I think it's only gotten more so recently. But I don't know what, like, picked in him to, like, start, like, heavily. I mean, he's a big fan of Elon, and I don't know how he feels about that now. Because every time, you know, I try and talk to him about it at all, or he tries to talk to me about it, he feels like it ends up becoming, like, you know, I blame him for being in a cult or something, which I don't. You know, I don't think he's in a cult. But it's very, like...
Here's what I would do.
I don't know how to talk to him.
Here's what I would do.
Okay.
I mean, because you got to go, like, you got to go on a fact-finding mission. So I would just make a point of trying to engage with him just to find out as much as you can. Do not respond with any type of critique, at least in that first conversation. What you need to do is you need to ask him, what changed? You didn't like him before. What do you like about him now? Or what changed? Was it the country? Was it the Republicans? Was it the Democrats? What changed? And get a long list. And then once you have collected that information, you will have a better sense of like what to begin to work on to, you know, change it back. But you got to go in first, full on fact finding, no judgment on what he says, or he's going to shut up immediately.
Okay. I don't think I'm a very like confrontational person. I've just had difficulty with that, and I appreciate that.
I would
I'll take that approach.
I would imagine if somebody has changed their mind that much, and they have some sensitivity to it, them being very defensive about it would not be completely surprising. So you got to be at your best behavior, not to in any way make them defensive, so that you can get as much information as possible, and then you start from there. Good luck with it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sam. Y'all have a great night.
You too.
Appreciate the call.
Me and my
Ladies and
fellow
gentlemen-
warriors call that reconnaissance.
That's what that?
That's reconnaissance. That's what we say in the military, us warriors.
Warrior patriots, more like it.
You're a great American. Folks, that ends the phone call portion of the program. I'm going to read 5 IMs, and then we're going to get out of here. Kowalski from Nebraska. In some way, worrying news, the flooding around Beijing is pretty bad. They have received nearly a year's worth of rainfall in about 4 days. About 21 inches. Thankfully, due to how their water management system works, their city core, where most of the people are essentially a shield when it comes to flooding, but this does put a lot of pressure on surrounding rural areas with greater flooding risks. This area of the world has many, many water projects going back basically 2,000 years. In that time, successive Chinese governments have built levees to try and manage floodwaters. The issue today is these flooding ruptures, these levels of the base near the river is the same elevation as the surrounding land. So it just spills out until the hole can be plugged. Last I checked this morning, 80,000 people had to evacuate. Wow. The death toll is nearing 40 and expected to rise. Crazy. Johnny Casper, Louisville is the second or third largest Cuban community in the U.S. I work in resettlement. About almost half of our Cuban Haitian clients have lost their parolee status. It's massive and devastating. That's crazy. I had no idea there was so many Cubans there. Scott from Monterey. I do not appreciate the new thumbnail format, Sam. I'm married. I don't get it. What are people referring to?
He's saying it's that the thumbnail is that sketch of Sam. Is that what you're talking about?
I do not know.
Maybe. I don't know.
It's turned on by the sketch of you, Sam.
Dorsey better get on that. Julius Knipple, fantastic interview. It's critical to hear the perspective of someone surrounded by inhumane disassociation from reality expressing such eloquent and effective arguments. Yeah, I was really impressive. He's a very impressive young.
He's heroic.
Two more. What now? Veganism was my route into leftist politics. Empathy first. I appreciate this caller bringing it up. I get why it's not talked about because it's not popular, but it's troubling when it gets shamed and discarded by the left. Yeah, I hope you weren't implying that we were doing that. I am all for it. I am all for it. I don't practice veganism myself. But I have definitely attempted to cut down my meat intake. And the final I am of the day. Let's see here. Chicago Steve. If Israel would stop committing genocide, maybe we would have time to talk about veganism. Well, you can talk about two things.
No.
Brian.
It's a finite amount of time
I'm
for
sorry,
emphasizing things in the world. I think that's usually, and I also am not a vegan, and I'm not going to be one. So.
I got a little annoyed when he was like, "Emma, you could be a vegan." I'm just like, all right,
I could.
I could be one secretly, and you may not know.
Brian, Matt, Emma, great job today. See you tomorrow.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the lie.